Hi, how you doing? So my name is Mr. Murphy. So in this class, I will just imagine I'm teaching a student whose name is Mike. Mike is taking the 11 plus exam, so let's delve right in. So Mike, nice to meet you today. How's the day been? Did you say good? Okay, that's it's good to hear. Now quickly, let's look at what we'll be looking at today. Okay, so Mike, today we'll be learning effective uses of phrases and clauses. In this lesson, we will explore the fundamentals of phrases and clauses and learn how to use them effectively in your writing and speaking. By the end of this session, you will have a solid understanding of this essential grammar concept and be able to apply them with confidence. That's the objective of today's lesson. Okay, so now let's look at this. Effective uses of phrases and clauses. So I want to ask you, Mike, tell me, how would you feel if someone walks up to you and keeps saying in the car, in the car, in the car? How would you respond to such a person? How would you feel about that question? Okay. Oh, you said you will be wondering what's in the car, or who is in the car, because you'll be a bit confused. Now that's a phrase. In the car is a phrase. Okay. It's an example of a phrase, and I'm going to ask you because I've given you hint on how phrase or what the phrase is. So the next thing is a clause. Now let's say he walks up to you and asks you, or he walks up to you and tells you, "There's fire in the car. There's fire in the car." So you know, oh, there's fire in the car, so it means that's an accident. Now, how would you feel? What would you feel about this? You can easily respond, okay? Because you know what the person is talking about. Now you can respond. Now the first one is a phrase, while the second one is a clause. So now, Mike, from what I've described about a phrase and a clause, how would you define a phrase? How would you define a phrase? Okay, so you said a phrase is a group of words that doesn't make complete sense. Okay, I think that's good. I think that's good. But one way we could define it, we'll say a phrase is a group of words without a subject and a verb. Okay, it may not have a subject and a verb, and sometimes we have a subject like in the car. But in the car could be the subject, but it could also be the object. Now we also have a clause. So how would you describe a clause? How would you describe a clause? A group of words. Okay. Mike, that's a good one. So you just said a clause is a group of words which make complete sense because it has what? A subject and a verb. So it means you understand what a subject is. Now, let me put this quickly in the chat box. Now, can you look at the chat box? A subject is a person or thing performing an action. That's a subject. Now you can write that down. Okay, now let's look at the second one, phrases. Now we want to look at how we can define phrases and clauses more broadly. So we could say phrases. A phrase is a group of words that work together as a single unit, but do not contain a subject and a verb. So no subject, no verb. That would be a phrase. Okay. So in the car, at the park, with the man are phrases. So Mike, give me one other example of a phrase. In the bank. Wow, that's a beautiful one, Mike. I love that. In the bank, like you just said, is correct. It's a phrase. Now we have clauses. Now a clause. Now can you read what we have on the slide, Mike? Please go ahead. What do you have on the slide? Okay, thank you very much. That was good. A clause, as you defined, is a group of words with a subject and a verb. Okay. Now we have two types of clauses. We have the main clause and the subordinate clause. The main clause is a clause that can stand on its own and to make sense. For example, she is outside. That's a clause. It's a clause because it makes sense by itself. Okay. Now, but subordinate clause, the first one is the main clause. Subordinate clause does not make sense by itself. Okay. An example would be something like, so she went outside. If you say so she went outside, that's subordinate clause. Why? Because something must have happened before she went outside, because you used the word so. So I could say a main clause is the clause that function as a complete sense sentence and contains the subject and the verb like we described, but subordinate clause